After a decade and a half, we finally got a new 3 3/4 inch Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. Did we need it? Kinda. The old one, I still love the old one. I'm just gonna bring him in now. I still have a soft spot for the old one. I still think the old one's great. But as you can see, the new one is definitely a step up in pretty much every regard. I'm going to do a more detailed comparison of those guys. But oh man, this new one. It's not perfect. It's missing like a couple things. But other than that, man, it is mwah. It is a mwah kind of figure. So let's look at the card back first because it's a TVC figure. The card back is a part of the package. So yeah, you got the classic Return of the Jedi style Boba Fett artwork. I love it. I don't know if the name pill and the color is right or wrong. I know that's something a lot of people worry about. I'm not familiar. I remember hearing something about the Boba Fett stuff having issues, but I'm not very well versed in that. Here's the other figures in the wave. Got Princess Leia, Bespin Escape, Grief Karga, The Child. Those three I will review in their own video, but I want to make a video just about Boba Fett because it's Boba Fett, and there's a lot to talk about with this particular figure because it's Boba Fett. So, nice card back, nicer figure. So, let's get the issues out of the way. The main two issues, one of which is just a personal preference thing. I really wish his visor, his rangefinder moved down. I really wish it did, but it doesn't. That's just kind of a personal disappointment for me. I just kind of expect that with Boba Fett's now. Especially since he doesn't have a removable helmet. I'm kind of like, what's your excuse, Hasbro? We wanted to preserve the sculpt. Man, who cares about the sculpt? It's an action figure. we want to play with it. But another thing that's a big issue to me is that somehow he doesn't have the rivets in his chest. There has been a running change that fixes this. But, yeah, they're just not there on most copies. I would like to get a revised one at some point, because honestly, I wouldn't mind having two of this figure, because it's amazing, and I hope they reuse this body to some extent for Mandalorian Boba Fett. But yeah, that's definitely a disappointment. But other than that, we're looking at basically a pretty perfect figure here. I don't have too many complaints other than that. I do have a little bit of fraying on mine's cape already, though, which is a bit of a disappointment. But other than that, man, this, ooh, man, ooh. I heard something about the color, like maybe it's not supposed to match, or maybe it's supposed to match between the shoulder pads and the jetpack. Like maybe they're both supposed to be orange, but maybe this, I'm not exactly sure on that. Here, let's look at the old one. Yeah, the old one color matches. The old one has the same color for the shoulder pads and the jetpack. So I'm not exactly sure on that, but honestly, I can't very much be too bothered by that. So, yeah, why does your cape want to stick out like that, buddy? Let's just, here. His backpack is removable. You can remove the jetpack and you can see how it plugs in, which is a nice connection. Keeps it straight. Here, let's plug the cape. There we go, so now it'll stay better. Because this one was actually, I believe, yeah, a round peg, and it was a very small round peg, so it get knocked out of place a lot, get crooked. But that one is not going anywhere. And it also has a little bit of lean towards the back, too, which is movie accurate. Speaking of movie accurate, that helmet, though. That helmet, though. Honestly, a part of me can forgive that he is missing the rangefinder, because you are left with a very nice-looking helmet. Definitely better than the Black Series one. Well, the Black Series one looks great if you fix it, but if you don't fix it, it's all smushed and looks horrible. This one, though, does not have that issue because it is just one singular sculpt. Even though they did sculpt a fake chin underneath the helmet, which is cool. That is a cool detail. Because I think there are some shots where you can sort of see his head kind of poking underneath. But yeah, man, that helmet is superb. Absolutely superb. I mean, just proportionally, too, looking at this and then thinking about how he looked in the movie, man, that's perfect. It's so perfect. He's got a lot of weathering, like a lot of silver work on the edges. Like, he just looks really good. Look at the gun, man. Even the gun has a lot of nice deco to it. And his gauntlets. Here, let's get him spread out a little bit. He's got the logo there. He's got the Bantha skull right there, really nicely printed. Like, even look at this gauntlet, man. Look at all the little detail. Like on the flamethrower. I think that's the flamethrower. I could be mistaken. I'm always unsure on, like, what's the flamethrower and what's the line launcher on Boba Fett. Yeah, you can even see on his legs there, they painted those silver. He's got, like, the little knee missiles. Like, even his boots, man. They painted so much on him, and he looks great. I really just... Man, look at the backpack, too. Look at that. Oh, man. You can tell they definitely poured a lot of effort into this figure. And then, especially comparing it to the old one, man, I love the old one. I think the old one still stands up. But, man, comparing it, mine's got a little bit of a yellowed butt for whatever reason. Just comparing it, like they didn't paint the missiles on the knees. It's got some kind of wacky colors. Whoop! It at least does have the my two issues. It does have those, the lines on the chest, and it does have the movable rangefinder. So, hey, that's something. But his rangefinder is a little, like you can see, it does look a little bulbous. I always thought this helmet was perfect, right? I always thought that was like the really good Boba Fett helmet. And then this new one is just like, hi, I'm a lot better. And even the colors, too. The colors on the new one are just so much better. You know, like the greens and the variations of greens and all that. It just looks so much better. It really does. Now, granted, I'll always have a soft spot for the old one. I always will. But, ooh, man, this new one. This new one. Wow. So, the old one did have issues with the tubes breaking on the arm. Actually, just before this review, I have two of this figure. One is yellowed at the torso and the other is not. The non-yellowed one had broken tubes. The yellowed one didn't, so I actually was able to pop and swap the arms so I would have a more pristine Fett. Still, man, this figure, it's fun. It's a fun Boba. Like, just posing him around real quick, you can see, like, he's still a really fun Fett. His gun warps a lot, though, and he doesn't have wrist articulation. He's pretty dated. Like, you can tell he is from the era that he's from, but still, he's a fun figure. This one, though, let's get into his articulation. So you've already seen me mess around with his head. It's got, like, the double ball peg stuff going on. You can wiggle it, you can waggle it, you can move in pretty much any direction. It's great. His shoulders. They actually have the movie-accurate shoulder pads, where they're kind of attached to the torso. So you can move his shoulders up. And yes, I just did a little burp, leave me alone. Move the shoulders up. Arms forward. You can pretty much move them forward all the way, but you wouldn't really need to. This elbow bends very nice and deep. Very nice. That is great. This one, I would be careful because of the tubes. I don't feel more comfortable bending it beyond that point. But still, you get over 90 degrees, which is great. The wrists, they finally have caught on because this wrist is up and down. So you can get a lot of great poses with that. Like, look at that. Oof. Just get him holding his belt. And you can because he actually has the up and down at this wrist, too. Because, man, guys that hold guns, they need to have up and down. Up and down is the most useful wrist articulation. Because I feel like you do this more than you do this. I mean, just look at that. Ooh, look at that. Oh, man, I should have made that the thumbnail pose. You have, like, I think it's just a swivel at the torso. It's kind of, like, clicky. It's just kind of clicky. I do feel like it is a ball joint. I feel like you get some ball joint motion out of it, but I feel like it just wants to spring back. So it's honestly not the best torso, but it's serviceable. It at least gives you some rotation. Then the hips, they're the kind of normal style hips we're used to nowadays, where you swivel them, you hinge them. They go about that far forward. They go out pretty much all the way. And then you just they do kind of adjust on their own, which I do appreciate. Thigh swivel, knee bend that goes a little bit over 90, which is pretty good. Knee swivel. Then the ankles, these are great. They move up that far. They move down that far. And I feel like these tiny figures want to get out of focus. Oh my goodness. Then you do have an ankle rocker. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I am inclined to say this is by far Hasbro's best 3¼ Boba Fett. It's not perfect. Just fix those couple issues. One's just a personal preference, but if you have the revised one, I would say you definitely have Hasbro's best Boba Fett. At least 3¼ wise. Because I know the 6" one, especially if you fix the helmet, is great. But the fact you have to fix it in the first place, I don't know. Kind of iffy on that. But yeah, man, this Fett is great. Absolutely love it. Cannot recommend it enough. It could honestly be one of Hasbro's very best 3¼ inch figures, period. It's definitely one of the most posable and articulated. It is amazing. Because, I mean, yeah, just comparing it to the old one. Like, the old one I always will love. I always have loved. But it's just so crazy how far we've gone in, like, 15 years. Because there's 15 years separating these guys. That's a while. You know? That's... Some of you are probably younger than this figure, man. And that's crazy. Honestly, you shouldn't be watching the channel too much if you're younger than this figure. But, you know, it's a free country. It's a free world. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I love, love, love this Boba Fett. Let me know your opinions down in the comments below. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.